Welcome back, Wolfpack. How's everyone doing today? It's I, the man, the myth, the monster, Strong Wolf 85, and today we're going to have a talk. So, today's video is the beginning of a series where I'm going to show you how to cook cheap and easy meals for both the keto and carnivore diets so that you can see just how affordable, fast, and easy it is to make meals at home without spending a fortune on fad products or other scams by keto carn artists trying to take advantage of the keto craze. Now, don't worry, not every video in the series is going to have a discussion on keto or carnivore, but it is important moving forward to not only understand generally what ketocons exist, but also why they are scams and why it is so many people believe that keto is just another fad diet. So let's get into it. Now, we've all seen those ads on Facebook and YouTube for those keto meal kits. Well, I have a problem with them, and that's that they're all scams. Now, credit where credit is due, these meals are in fact ketogenic, staying between 10 and 20 net carbs per meal on average. The problem is that they are also around 600 to 700 calories per meal, with the 700 calorie meals being closer to 20 grams of net carbs per meal. This is a fairly obvious problem in that in order to meet a proper daily caloric intake required for good metabolic health, you will be required to eat 2 to 3 of these meals each day and will still fall short by up to 600 calories. So these kits are already a scam on two fronts. First, they are a low-calorie diet, otherwise known as a starvation diet, and anyone who's been on a starvation diet will be able to tell you that they don't work. There are also plenty of studies that demonstrate that calorie-restricted diets just don't work. They are a farce, often promoted by big, sugar-producing, diet food manufacturing megacorporations. This really isn't an issue when eating a proper keto or carnivore diet because the nutrients are significantly easier to absorb, being mostly from animal products, and full of good animal fats for filling and satisfying fuel. Which brings me to the next problem with these meal kits. They're primarily plant based, often accompanied by a lean meat to pad out the calories of each meal, and we're going to get more into that soon. Second, these meals are a scam because each meal is between 10 and 20 grams of net carbs per meal, and you need to eat about 2 to 3 of these meals just to feed yourself. So then each day you're eating between 30 and 60 grams of net carbs each day, which is going to kick you right out of ketosis or prevent you from getting into it to begin with. And it can't be a keto meal plan if you aren't in ketosis. Now, many vegans will try to argue that the keto diet allows for up to 50 grams of carbs each day. And while this is technically true, the claim is substantively false. The average number of daily carbs recommended for the keto diet is 12 grams of net carbs each day, or roughly between 15 and 30 grams of net carbs, depending on your metabolic health. And in order to be able to eat that 50 gram of net carb allotment, you would need to have excellent metabolic health, which I hate to break it to you, vegans, it's not you. Being slim or fit may be indicators of metabolic health. However, there are more nuances that need to be considered. One thing many vegans don't consider is how easily or not nutrients are to absorb from a plant-based diet. A great example of this is spinach. It's high in the phytotoxin, or anti-nutrient, oxalate, which binds to calcium and prevents its absorption. A single cup of spinach has about 30 milligrams of calcium in it, but because of it being plant matter and because of the high oxalates, only about 5% or 1.5 milligrams of calcium is actually absorbed. There are multiple different phytotoxins which prevent nutrient absorption and even interfere with normal functions of the human body, including but not limited to glucose. This trips me up every time. Glucosinolates, lectins, phytates, saponins, and tannins. Who let the dyslexic guy read? Plants have these toxins in them because, big shocker, it's their natural defense to avoid being eaten. Some have thorns, some have bark, others make you sick. Some faster than others, others slowly. So the most likely reason why you are slim on a plant-based diet is not because you are healthy. It's more likely than not that you're actually malnourished. And because you are consuming a high carb, low fat, low protein diet, your insulin levels are likely to also be pretty high, preventing you from burning fat within your own body. However, since you're also not absorbing enough fats, proteins, or other nutrients to store as fat, you likely aren't going to see any real weight gain either. Additionally, the higher fructose consumption of a plant-based diet will interfere with healthy metabolic function. Fructose is boasted by vegans and nutritionists as being low in the glycemic index. However, this is rather insidious because fructose bypasses your insulin system and goes straight to your liver, which can cause non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which can result in type 2 diabetes or otherwise results in an increased insulin resistance. Which brings us to the third scam about keto. It is impossible to eat a healthy, plant-based ketogenic diet. I've seen too many articles, vegan or vegetarian nutritionists, health gurus, and Instagram models, and scam diet selling con artists promoting this idea of vegan keto diets or plant-based keto. It's a farce, and it's a farce for two reasons. The issue is that they're selling false information based around the upper limit of for ketosis of around 50 grams of total carbs per day. That's a important thing to remember, so keep note of that. However, as I discussed earlier, that is only for people who are in good metabolic health, which ain't vegans. A plant-based diet is one that is generally high in carbs, low in usable fat, protein, and calories, and usable nutrients. This means that your body is likely carb or sugar adapted, malnourished, and dealing with a constant influx of various phytotoxins which can impact metabolic and other bodily functions. In short, the 50 grams of carb limit is likely not available to you. Moreover, that 50-gram maximum is based on total carbs and not net carbs. For most, in order to achieve and stay in ketosis, you will need to stay around the 15 to 20 grams of net carbs per day, typically recommended for keto dieters. Now, a big point that vegans trying keto simply just don't understand is that the keto diet is about more than just eating a low carb diet. It's about increasing your sensitivity to insulin by way of reducing your dependence on sugars as a source of fuel. Since the primary sources of fuel in a plant-based diet are sugars and other carbohydrates, you are constantly spiking your insulin in addition to consistently ingesting phytotoxins and low glycemic sugars such as fructose, which interfere with your body's ability to absorb nutrients and increase your insulin resistance, as well as having other negative effects on your metabolic system. Now, I know this is going to ruffle someone's lettuce, but with all of that in mind, we need to understand that veganism is a religion-based diet. It's not a diet rooted in well-founded science. And before vegans angrily start barraging the comments with various studies, it's important to remember that fundamentalist Christians too have peer-reviewed scientific studies proving everything from creation to the Great Flood, and even finding proof of Noah's Ark and the Garden of Eden. Of course, none of them are credible, but that's something you need to keep in mind before presenting research that is consistently and easily debunked by hundreds and thousands of years of human history, as well as numerous scientific and anthropological studies conducted over the past century. Just like fundamentalist Christians, vegan researchers have a pre-existing bias and a vested interest in providing something to support the faith-based claims, not only to spread the message, but also to rally the faithful. But Wolf, if veganism and vegan-based keto diets are just scams, why are so many nutritionists, trainers, and companies promoting these diets? Well, ask yourself, why are con artists most often drawn to the religious and superstitious? The short answer is that they are easy to manipulate, and everyone knows fools and their money are soon parted. As with any religion, not everyone trying to sell you something is a shysta. Some of them are simply members of the faithful themselves, and just like religion, it's a case of the blind leading the blind. Now, this isn't to say that fruits and vegetables don't have a place in the human diet. However, when you consider human history and evolution as well as the research, it is clear that fruits and vegetables play a supplementary role only in the human diet and should not be the primary source of nutrition for normal, healthy individuals. This is why the keto diet works where so many others fail, because it is the diet we've evolved to eat. And who would have guessed that you can improve your health by eating a diet that we've evolved to eat naturally? Yes, I understand that there are exceptions due to health conditions or food allergies, but please understand that what I'm saying is not directed at anyone who needs to be on a plant-based diet for medical reasons. Everything I've discussed is directed at people without such health conditions. Now, the fourth keto myth is keto carb cycling. This has got to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Even stupider than plant-based keto. Carb cycling with keto is a practice where in once a week you eat carbs for about 1 to 2 days to replenish your depleted glucose levels. The whole point of keto is to deplete your glucose levels and to switch to burning fat for fuel. Carb cycling is literally the opposite of keto. It defeats the whole purpose of going keto. And if anyone's trying to sell you on carb cycling with keto, they are either a complete idiot or a con artist. And I'll leave that up to you to decide. Also, are you still not convinced that keto is not for vegans? Consider this. A cup of avocado, a cup of almonds, and a cup of broccoli will give you about 820 calories, as well as 18 grams of net carbs, as well as about 46 grams of total carbs. Not exactly leaving you much wiggle room to eat anything else. In the end, you'll be just as starved and miserable as anyone eating a single keto kit meal every day. The difference is you won't have to spend a fortune to hate yourself. Which brings all of this full circle right back to the inspiration of this video. In addition to keto meal kits being very low calorie, between 1200 and 1400 calories per day when eating 2 kits per day, and high enough in carbs that eating 2 a day easily risks kicking you out of ketosis, if not preventing you from entering ketosis altogether, all the while starving you, these meals are absurdly expensive. For a 12-meal weekly plan, the price is around $138 per week. That's $138 for 6 days worth of food that won't fill you up and won't provide you with good energy, especially not from fatty meat. My weekly expenses for a carnivore diet are $76 a week on average. That's 7 hearty, filling, and satisfying meals, in addition to 3 to 6 days of post-gym protein and fat. Not only is it satisfying and affordable, but it's easy to make as well, taking a little more than 5 to 10 minutes of prep time for each meal. Another thing to consider for those on a budget or on state assistance, I'm permanently crippled, and my SNAP benefits provide me with enough resources to feed myself for a total month of dieting. In this series, I'll be showing you one recipe or cooking method per video, and we'll also discuss how I manage my diet as carnivore, or just show you easy to make and affordable keto meals. So let's get into my first and perhaps one of my favorite meals thus far, my bacon-wrapped buttered chicken. First, we're going to start with a 6-pack of bone-in chicken thighs with skin. They're about $1.50 per pound where I get them. You want about 3 pounds or more, check to see that they are similar in size. Then you need a pack of thick-cut bacon, which is about $6 at my local supermarket. Make sure to count the bacon strips inside the pack before purchasing to make sure that you have between 10 and 12 strips. 12 strips is ideal, but you can make do with being 1 or 2 short. And now for the butter. I highly recommend this particular brand as it's the best butter I've ever had, but it's $3 a bar. The cows are grass-fed, which increase the quality and taste. Salted or unsalted is a matter of your own taste, but I highly recommend using unsalted butter for this recipe. The first step is to put the butter on the chicken. You want to use between 1 or 2 tablespoons, which is about 2 slices on a normal stick of butter. Now we're going to wrap the chicken and the butter in bacon. Each thigh gets 2 pieces of bacon, but if you weren't able to get 12 slices in your pack of bacon, that's still okay. Just use 1 piece on the smallest thighs, and for those of you who feel like you missed a step because of that last bit, here's that sexy butter cutting footage you've all been wanting. Alright, enough of that. Now, some of you might be wondering, what is a fat cripple guy doing telling us about health, nutrition, and dieting? Well, considering that I've been on the carnivore diet for about 2.5 months now, and I've lost about 40 pounds through dieting and going to the gym 3 times a week, I feel like I'm in one of the best places to actually discuss this topic because I'm seeing real results, and let me tell you, I feel great, especially compared to about 3 months ago. Over 10 years ago, I suffered a crippling injury in my left leg, and it's a permanent one. I went from being fairly active and athletic to not really being able to move around all too well. Combine that with depression from being injured and from being in constant pain, it just all contributed to me letting myself go. I know I'm not some Instagram model or fitness personality, or someone trying to prey on you by selling you some plan or product. This is all food that you can make with things that you can buy from your own local grocery store. And this is just as much my health and weight loss journey and my struggle as it is yours. And after being over 350 pounds at my heaviest and getting some really solid results out of this, it is my hope to inspire anyone who feels like they are struggling or that being in good health is just out of reach for them. Now back to the chicken. Altogether, it should not take you more than 5 minutes to prepare this recipe and should easily provide 2 or 3 meals depending on your appetite. The rough cost of this recipe is about $13, and this recipe is great to eat either hot or cold and is a fantastic source of protein and fat for after the gym. Once it's all wrapped up, we're going to put it in the oven at 400 degrees for 40 minutes. If you choose to use regular cut bacon, be sure to check on it at 35 minutes to make sure the bacon isn't too crispy. So now you can see this is out of the oven. It's looking great. Like I said before, this is actually one of my favorite meals to have during the week because a single six pack of chicken, as well as that pack of bacon, is going to get you anywhere from 2 to 3 meals in the week, depending on how many pieces of chicken you eat. And they're good. They're filling pieces, and they're great after gym snack. Now let's eat. I've been waiting for this. Thank you all for watching. So the ingredients and directions will be in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought about this. Let me know what you think of this recipe. Yeah, it's a bit greasy, but hey, what good chicken isn't? So, but thanks again, everyone, and I'm going to see all of you guys in the next video.